Now, let me tell you how you can work out if you've stalled in life. It means you're making no progress in life. I can tell you how you can work that out yourself. Okay, you don't need any coach, you don't need any mentor. I will tell you directly how it is that you have stalled in life. Let's have a look where you were last year. Are you still in the current job that you're in, the same position? Yes or no? Has your income increased more than inflation for that year? So inflation in your country could be, or this year could be 2, 3%. Had your income increased? The sad reality is we stay on the same income, which means we're getting poorer every single year. Majority of people, unless you're an entrepreneur, where then you can create more value and get paid what you're worth, rather than just waiting for your boss to give you a pay grade. Now, have you progressed? Have you increased your income or got a different position, moved up in management? Have you done any of that in the last year? Wouldn't it be crazy if we think about that as a child, how many years you would want a child to spend in the first grade or the third grade or the fourth grade? How many, approximately, give me a number, how many years would you like to stay or your child to stay in the fourth grade, right? Approximately 1 year. You don't want them to stay 2 years, 3 years. However, in life, when we become adults, we don't put that same pressure on ourselves of progression. I feel it should be as socially unacceptable not to progress in life. And we should put social pressures on ourselves to move up to the next level. Just the same way as we do with our kids. If a child was in the fourth grade for more than 1 year, there would be social pressures from the school, from family, from friends, how we're wanting to move forward. That's what we would be doing to our kids. But yet, when we become adults, we could stay in the same position for 5 years, 10 years. Nobody is going to say, "Are you going to move forward? Why are you stalled in this position?" We don't have that emphasis to move forward, and I think we should socially put pressure on ourselves as adults to be like, "Why are we not moving forward?" So we'll go back to the original question. How do you know you've stalled in life? When you look at your atmosphere, what you've achieved in the last 5 years, are you in the same position? And unfortunately, a lot of people are. For 10 years goes by. I speak to people and they've been in a job for 10 years, same position. The wage has barely went above inflation. So they've genuinely stayed where they have. However, the knowledge or experience has definitely increased, yet their income has stayed the same. Is that not quite sad to think that your knowledge has increased, but yet you've stayed in the same pay grade? Is that not frustrating? That would really, really annoy me, knowing that I've increased every day I've went to work, putting in the effort, got better, got stronger, got more efficient, yet I'm still on the same money. That's quite annoying. Now, for somebody like yourself, if you're an entrepreneur or you want to start a business, let me tell you, it's very freeing to know that at any moment you can increase your income by working more efficiently, having new ideas. Starting a business for one is a great opportunity. But when you're an employee, you have to wait for your manager to decide that they are going to upgrade you, or somebody retires or gets fired ahead of you. That's in the pecking order of management. And that's frustrating, really frustrating. How do you improve yourself? Here's one concept that's really worked for me. It's called the 80-20 rule. 80-20, 80 and 20. What that means is when you are doing a task or any part of our life, there is two types of actions. There's actions that are getting you results, which are the 20% are getting you 80% of the results, which means something really small. Some small leverage that you're doing here is going to get you a huge amount of results. And let me give you some examples from, for example, working at the gym, going to the gym, lifting up weights. You could be lifting really heavy weights, which is 80% of the work. But if your technique is wrong, which is just a small little move the wrist here, change your arm position here, not lift it like this, just these small little tweaks will get you the 80% of the results that you're doing instead of the other way, which is lifting really heavy weights and then you're only seeing a small bit of progress in your weight gains or your lifting. My coach, that's why we have coaches for things. My personal trainer, that's exactly what he's there to help me do. I've been going to the gym for years now. Close to 20 years I've been going to the gym. I remember when I was 16 years old, sneaking into the gym with my sisters who were older. You had to be 16, so I must have been about 15 years old, feeling like it was such a success to get past the reception because I was 15 or 14 maybe, but I looked 16. And I felt like such a win when I would sneak past the security and they assumed I was 16. And I felt like, yes, I'm stealing this workout. Obviously I paid for it, but was not meant to be there till I was 16 years old. So I've been going to the gym 20 years throughout my life. However, doing the hard work, lifting the weights, showing up at the gym is all hard work. But just having that little bit of knowledge, that unlock, which is what a coach helps you to do, you're lifting with the better posture, you're holding the machinery better. All these little things, these unlocks, are going to be 80% of the results. Same with your business. You could be spending all your time editing a presentation, or you could be the person giving the presentation, or the person giving the feedback to the higher management. This is generally how higher management work, by the way. When I was in my corporation work, what is higher management? They ask their team to go gather all the information and do all the legwork. They gather all the information, they give it to the senior manager. Then the senior manager sits on the board meeting and basically just tells the higher up people exactly what their staff has told them. So they basically bottle up all the knowledge. They get everyone else to do all the running about, which is 80% of the work. They distill all the best knowledge. They say it in the board meeting, and they're the ones that are the stakeholders, and they get paid more money. Isn't that how it works? It's an 80-20 rule. The manager at the top is taking the best knowledge that you've gathered. You spent 80% of the time gathering this information to give them the 20%. They go talk in a corporation in a meeting around a massive table, and they're part of the stakeholders. They get paid way more money. And then people complain, why are we not getting much money? These management, we hate these management. No, you don't hate them. You're jealous that they're in a position where you're doing all the legwork, all the crumb work. They're doing the high leverage work. They're making the big decisions at the big tables, whilst you're doing the crummy work, the research work, the nonsense work, and getting paid crumbs of pay. So you have to think to yourself, how can I work more efficiently to do the 80-20 rule in my work, in my business? There's an example as well. If you're cold calling, if you're trying to reach out, let's say you're doing sales and you're trying to close a client, one or like, let's say small businesses, you're speaking to small businesses one by one, but you have to speak to hundreds of small businesses to get a sale or two. Or you can speak to somebody like a newspaper, someone who owns a newspaper or a magazine, and they are in touch with lots of different businesses all at the same time. So by one contact, you're actually opening up your doors to hundreds of contacts at the same time because that person is in touch with lots of other people, or advertising in that magazine is where all your potential customers are. For example, that is way more high leverage than one by one calling all those small businesses. You could advertise in a magazine or connect with that newspaper owner. That's exactly what I'm doing in the next couple of days. I'm reaching out to a newspaper. I've actually got a meeting with the owner of a local magazine here and build up the relationship with them, and then they will open up their connections to all those other business owners instead of me having to go speak to them individually. More high leverage activities. 80-20 rule. So next time you're doing an action, a task, think, is there a more efficient way of me doing this rather than having to one by one individually do the task? I can speak to one person that unlocks a whole larger opportunity for me. The chances are 100% there will be. Getting a coach helps you reduce the mistakes that you're making. If I'm honest with you, that's what a coach does. A personal trainer at the gym is not teaching you how to lift up a weight. Everyone knows how to lift up the weight or how to use a machine, for example. However, they're telling you just a small tweak that is going to make a huge difference, that you're going to focus on different muscle groups. They're going to say in your diet what to eat, what not to eat. Now, we all know what is healthy and what is not healthy, but there's probably something that we're doing in our diet that is giving us bad results. For example, myself personally, I'm telling you like all my personal stuff here. I'm just like letting it all out here. So for years, and even now, I'm focusing on my diet and how to lose weight and maintaining that weight. And I have about 500 mils, which is like a bowl of cereal and some tea and some coffee. I consume like 500 mils of milk every day, which is low. It's not the full fat, it's the middle range. So it's a little bit of fat, but not huge. One day, because I always have it with other products, I never really tasted the milk purely. And the other day, maybe about 2 weeks ago, I tasted it just in a glass by itself. No tea, no coffee, nothing. And I was like, this tastes like cheese. It's very dairy rich. I was like, okay, I'm gonna actually look at the ingredients. And then when I looked at it, it's 13%, 13% fat. So there's me saying to myself, I want to lose weight. I'm running, I'm hitting the gym, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm starving myself throughout the day, all of these things. But yet every morning I'm drinking a liquid that is 13% fat. I'm basically drinking fat in the morning and then saying to my body, I want to burn the fat. You see how, I'm genuinely drinking fat and then trying to burn that same fat, and that's every single day. So the small unlock was to change the milk. So now I researched, spoke to my coach, we got into, we researched better alternatives, oat milk, with nut alternative, hazelnut alternatives, soya milk, lots of different variants. And now we're onto a milk where it's very, very low in fat. Now, everything else in my life has been the same routine, the same workout plans, but I just changed the type of milk or the alternative to milk, and the weight has come off, and it just stays off. So the same effort, but just a small little unlock, which is easier than lifting more weight, spending more hours at the gym, which is what most people would do. Just a small little unlock. I've had beneficial changes in my body, and it's remained. So that's fine. Now I genuinely drink. Is it soya milk? No, we were on soya milk, and someone else told me soya milk isn't that great either. So we did a bit more research, and yeah, it turns out it's not that great. Then we went on to, what is it I'm drinking now? I can't even remember what type of milk it is. It's just not any dairy product. And it's fantastic. Tastes like milk. I think, is it oats? Oat milk, is it? Whatever it is, it's doing the job for me. And I swear by this now. It's been a couple of weeks, and that's what I go with. And it's really diluted and works for me. So again, there'll be something in your life that you could be doing that's more efficient. What I would say to you is, when it comes down to business, you're probably doing too much research and you've got too many ideas all over the place. What you actually want, you don't want more information in business. You actually want, like the manager's example I gave, you want it all distilled down to the very narrow focus of what you should do, what you shouldn't be doing. And that's what we help entrepreneurs do here in our community. Click on the link around this video. Step-by-step plan of the distilled information that you need. Start here, click here, do this, do that, like step by step. So you don't waste your time doing everything else. So if you're interested in starting your own business and you want to waste less time and just get the results, then click around here on our bio, join our community. I'll show you step by step so you don't have any of the wasted time. You just get straight to the results that you want, and we help you build that confidently and with our support, my support personnel, and our community as well. Click on the link, and that will get you the 80-20 rule. Because right now, when people are starting business, they're definitely doing the 80%. I see it all the time. Entrepreneurs, before they join our community, myself, I've done this before, starting several businesses, pottering around, trying to figure out how to understand Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So many ideas. The 1 minute they're looking at Amazon business to start, Shopify business, they're looking to open a restaurant. They just don't know what to do. There's just too many options. We're fortunate in a time where there's just so many options for businesses that it's actually becomes very confusing for people how to start a business. We get rid of all of that nonsense and just tell you exactly what to do. And that's like a coach, genuinely like a coach. Stop you wasting your time and your energy. 80-20 rule. This rule can also be applied in lots of areas in your life. For example, I have a community entrepreneurs WhatsApp group. There's 100 people in there. And then we do the 80-20 rule. So there's 100 people in there. 80 of them are passively just engaged. They read some messages, they don't comment, they don't attend our physical live events, and they're just there in the background. 20, which is exactly like the 20%, are the people that are engaged in our comments, are liking the post, they are engaging, they show up to our events. I could name all of the 20 people that we have in our local WhatsApp group that show up to our events, that are there, they're buying the tickets, they're engaged, they are engaged in our content, in our classrooms that we have, our online classrooms. they are progressing forward. 80-20. And those 20%, those 20 people are giving my business the 100% of the results that we're looking for, right? The other 80% of people, 80, are probably just giving us like a tiny, tiny fraction. And you need to focus on that. You have that in any walk of life. I've got the same thing. I've got a community of football players. I play football socially. That's one of my businesses that I've had for 16 years. I organize football games that we have about 200 players playing every single week with us. And these games, it's on autopilot. It's a massive WhatsApp group, so almost 1,000 people. It's actually 800 people currently. 800 people. It was 1,000, but we cleared out a lot of the time wasters. But still, with a group of 800 people, we've still got a small 20% of them are the ones that are engaged, that are commenting, and that show up to our event. All the other 80% are passive, just generally looking. I can see who sees all the messages. You can do that on WhatsApp, but they're not engaged. So again, 20% are giving us the 80% of the results. Look at any part of your life, your friends group, your circle. How many friends have you got? 10, 20 friends? 20% of them will be the friends you actually meet up, that you communicate with. The other ones, yeah, you're friends, but do you engage with them? Do you see them? Do you know what they're up to? Probably not. You probably see maybe the Facebook or Instagram updates every now and then, but how many of them do you genuinely meet up with on an annual basis? Now that's a big question. Imagine that you say that you're friends, but you meet up with them annually. I've got friends, I meet up with them annually. Now, is that really a friend, or is that just you're keeping up the habit of somebody that you see? You meet up with them annually. That's not friends. Like, I meet up with my business entrepreneurs, my colleagues. I meet up with them on at least on a weekly basis. So they become more of your friends than your high school friends that you meet up on an annual basis, or some every couple of years. That's just crazy. I want you to think to yourself right now, what actions are you doing in your life, especially your business? How are you starting your business? That is 80-20 rule. You could be doing less of it and getting more results. Maybe less research and more doing and less research. People want to research everything. The truth is, with research, you're going to go around in circles because you're going to see all the positives, comments from blogs, you're going to see all the negatives. And you've just wasted 4 hours researching. And not just hours, people are wasting days, weeks, months, years researching. Or you could do the other thing and just get started with the business. And then you figure it out way quicker. 80-20 rule. Click on the link underneath this video or in the bio. We'll stop you from all the research and all that other nonsense. We'll just tell you exactly what to do to start a successful business like I have in 3 months, and now get to live a life of my desire and a life of purpose rather than a plan that people have put in place for us, which is corporate work and all that kind of nonsense. I'll give you a step-by-step plan. Follow that. You have a successful business if you are willing to do the work and focus on the 20% and ignore the 80% of the world, which is all the noise and all the other stuff you see on social media. Just follow step-by-step plan. 20% effort, 20% focus, and we'll get you the results that you are looking for. I'll see you in that community. I'll see you in the next video. Click on the link here underneath or on the bio of this page. I'll see you in the community. Have a great day.